Salutations, everyone! It is I, the Geeky American Otaku. Well, it is officially spring, and it is officially April. And I've decided I'm going to be retooling my channel a little bit, and I've adopted a new moniker. Starting today, I will now be known as MartYtraM, the Geeky American Otaku. Or just MartYtraM. Anyway, we're going to be doing something a little different. Instead of a game show review or a top 10 list, I'm going to be doing an interview with a famous person or somebody I grew up with. Well, you'll see. This is another edition of, or actually the first edition of, MartYtraM Interviews. As you can see here by my Nickelodeon shirt, see, we're going to be interviewing somebody from the old days of Nickelodeon. In this case, it's going to be Phil Moore. For those who don't know, Phil Moore is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, and he worked as a computer technician in Orlando before breaking into the show business industry in the 80s. Eventually, he gave up being a computer tech and started doing stand-up. His first job in television was off-screen as the audience warm-up entertainer for the old MTV game show Remote Control. He also worked on the Mickey Mouse Club and Let's Make a Deal in a similar capacity. And then in 1992, Phil became the host of Nickelodeon's popular game show Nick Arcade for 2 seasons. He also appeared on many other Nickelodeon shows, including hosting the short-lived hidden camera show You're On. He was a regular panelist on Figure It Out and had a guest spot on the first episode of Nickelodeon's long-running variety show, All That. He also appeared on other Nickelodeon shows over the years, including Wienerville and What Would You Do? In 1998, he appeared on an episode of the popular UPN sitcom Malcolm and Eddie. Since then, he's worked behind the scenes as a writer and producer on shows including 30 Seconds to Fame and X-Play. In 2016 and 2018, he voiced himself in parodies of Nick Arcade on the popular Adult Swim show Robot Chicken. And from 2019 to 2020, Phil appeared in 3 episodes of the popular Nick Jr. series Ryan's Mystery Playdate. And he's also the producer of Nickelodeon's new hit game show Tuned In. In 2022, Phil was a producer on NBC's game show The Wheel, which is an adaptation of a British series. Anyway, I stumbled into Phil on Facebook, and I told him about how much I love Nick Arcade, and he appreciated all the kindness, and I asked if we could do a video interview, and you know what? He said yes. In fact, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be posting that interview right now for you all to watch right here. The Nickelodeon legend, Phil Moore.
Hey, what's up, Marty? When I say your name, I almost want to go, all right, Marty.
We had a lot of
Doc Brown in my voice when I say your name. Hey, how you doing, future boy?
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like we are we should go. I kind of want to go back. A lot of people have been saying, you know what, the future sucks. Can we go back to the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, right now we're visiting the past. This is what we're doing right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, we've had a little technical snafu. This is our 4th attempt, but it's working now.
Yeah. Nobody knows that. We put some duct tape on the Wi-Fi and we're good to go.
Yeah, I kind of think the video wizards from Nick Arcade were sabotaging us.
I don't know. See, I think they were. I think I told you earlier. I think they were just retiredness and pina coladas in Florida somewhere.
Yeah, it could be. Anyway, so like I said, I was a big fan of Nickelodeon. I was addicted to Nickelodeon when I was a kid, growing up in the late 80s, early mid 90s. And I remember Nick Arcade. It was so much fun to watch. I mean, it was just a great show.
It was a lot of fun to do. The thing that was really cool for me is, game shows are game shows. There's a lot of shows that are on, but that was the first one to me that looked different than anything I'd ever seen before. It wasn't just Q&A. It wasn't, there were other game shows even for grown-ups that had obstacle courses like Beat the Clock, which, Double Dare just took it up a notch and made it messy. And there were other like sports shows like American Gladiator, which, but Guts just took it up a notch. But there was nothing at all that looked like what Nick Arcade did in the video zone. And that's why I was like so just like honored and proud to be like a part of that thing, because it was an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, well, it was pretty technologically advanced for 1991-92. And anyway, I will say this: it was not the first video game theme game show. There was a show
No,
in
it
the
wasn't.
'80s called Starcade, hosted by the late
Hmm.
Jeff Edwards. I mean, I don't know. Do you ever see that one?
Yeah, yeah. But it was like somebody following you around with a camera at Chuck E. Cheese.
Hmm.
But the idea of putting somebody in a video zone, that's the thing that was like, wow. Because I remember when I first started auditioning for it, they told me what was it was like. And my initial question was, oh, so is it like Starcade? And they went, no, this is Nickelodeon. We're going to do something a little different. And the big difference was we're going to take kids and kind of make them Mario and let them run through a video game world. And I went,
Oh, yeah,
okay, that's different.
yeah. Now,
So
if I'm
where
not,
do I sign up for that?
yeah, now I have now I do know one thing. I think the video zone, you weren't actually in the game. Obviously, it's not like they can pixelize you. Not like what Mike TV and Willy Wonka.
Yeah, no,
I think
no.
there was like a green screen, and there you saw yourself on the excuse me screen nearby.
Right. Well, there was a yeah. The whole area was painted blue,
Hmm.
and anything you physically touched had to be built and painted blue. So if you saw a staircase that the kids went up, there was actually a staircase that matched the design. And what they would do is they would overlay the video graphics and
Right.
match it, in the exact same build. If there was something you saw somebody swing across, there was a pole that the kids grabbed onto that was painted
Hmm.
blue, so that then when they overlaid it, you saw whatever it is they wanted to project. But
Hmm.
if it was physically something you touched and had to walk on or grab or whatever, it was physically there.
Oh yeah.
And there were multiple monitors all over. I mean, like, so no matter what direction you looked in, you could see yourself and the environment that you were in. The thing was, if you looked behind you as a kid, all you saw was a blue set. But if you looked in front of you as a kid contestant, you saw exactly yourself as the home audience saw you.
Well, that is interesting. I mean, that's just fascinating. And of course, you had like I don't know how many levels were created. It was created by a third party. It wasn't created like by Nintendo or Sega or any of those guys then.
No, it was created by the show's producers, James Bethea, Karim Metef. They were two college buddies who
Hmm.
ended up getting jobs working at Nickelodeon as producers. They just had this really interesting idea, and they hooked up with another guy named Sam Clifford. And the three of them just, these are smart, like, genius guys
Oh yeah.
who happen to be TV producers, but they knew how to do a little something on the side, and that something on the side was they were immersed not in just they weren't like you and I. We were busy playing the video games.
Oh yeah.
They were part of the mindset that was like, how does this thing work? And
Right.
so they actually created the technology. That's the weird thing about Nick Arcade. It wasn't like let's do a show that can do this. These guys created a thing and said, I wonder if we can make this thing a show.
Oh
They
yeah.
invented a program that essentially, when you take a computer mouse and you move it around and it makes the little arrow move around or something. And then when you
Yeah.
get to a little place on it, like subscribe, you click the mouse and that causes the arrow to go click, click.
Oh
Well, the
yeah.
program that these guys invented tricked the computer into thinking a human being was the mouse. So
Hmm.
a human being can move independently. A mouse,
Oh
you have to
yeah.
take your hand and move it, or take your finger and scroll around. But a human
Oh yeah.
being can move independently. But if you tell the computer that this thing, when it gets to a certain portion of the screen, if they did something, it would activate, just like moving your mouse and clicking subscribe. It makes
Oh
things
yeah.
happen. So that was the unique and clever, never before seen trick of programming that these
Right.
guys invented.
Oh yeah. That was unique. I mean, it was unheard of at the time. And
Right.
I will say this. I mean, I could see the show coming back someday, either on maybe if not Nickelodeon, you got Paramount Plus, you got its sister network, that's CBS. I could see it coming back, and of course, technology has improved a lot in the past 30 years. So I have to remind myself, 30 years. Oh my God, I'm going to be 40 this year,
It's
and I'm
actually
starting to look a
31
little.
yees since the show was on.
Yeah, and I'm
31
looking like
years.
George Costanza here with my hair starting to go away. As George would say, it's Serenity now.
But yeah, it's been 31 years.
Hmm. I missed it didn't last
And
longer.
huh?
I'm amazed it didn't last longer. If it was getting decent ratings, it should have continued like another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, look, that's part of the behind the scenes that's going on at networks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we we wish we had gotten more time. If we had had a third season, I had already mapped out and suggested if we had gotten a third season, what I wanted to do was an episode in which we had all the Nickelodeon hosts on,
oh
like
yeah, Mark
Like
Summers,
Mike O'Malley and Summer Sanders versus Kurt Fogg and
Mark
Mark
Summers.
Summers.
Oh,
So
that would
we'd
have
have
been
like
epic.
right. So you'd have all five of the Nickelodeon game show hosts on a show,
Oh yeah.
and to see, yeah, we'd be obviously hosting Nick Arcade, but
Hmm.
but we would play an episode that had all of us on there. That was my dream
I know. I kind of wish
episode
they would
that
have done something like
we
that. A
never
game
got to
show
do.
marathon. Back in the 2000s, CBS did this thing with Fremantle, which owns a lot of the old Mark Goodson shows. They did called Game Show Marathon. They had The Price is Right, Card Sharks, Match Game, Family Feud.
Well, I'm talking about not a marathon. I'm talking about having all of the game show hosts on Nick Arcade, and we all played
Mm.
a game.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun.
So again, you team up, Mike and Summer and Mark
Kirk and Mark.
and Mike, Mark and Kurt and me behind the podium
Oh
with
yeah.
Mikey the video adventure, and we just had a blast. That was like the plan that if had we had a season three, but
Oh yeah.
unfortunately we didn't get one.
That's unfortunate. I mean, you still worked at Nickelodeon. You did figure it out with Summer Sanders. You were a panelist.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was on there. I stayed in Nickelodeon for 10 years. I did the Nick Takes Over Your Schools. Those were
Oh,
great.
I love that. I entered. I mean, I remember Nickelodeon's contest. You had Nick or Treat, the Super Toy Run. You had Nick Takes Over. I wish I had sent in more postcards. And for all our younger viewers, a postcard is an actual card with an image on it from a place you're visiting, and you write it down, your address. You write it down, and if you were entering a contest, you had to enter your name, address, phone number, and age, and then you sent it in with a stamp via snail mail. That's what they called it, and hope you get picked.
Well,
I'm sure, like,
they didn't call it snail mail. They just called it snail. I mean, they just called it mail.
well, yeah, because email was still pretty primitive at
It
the
reminds
time.
me. There was a movie. It was a movie called The Rundown with The Rock, and he was in Brazil, and he goes, "You got any Brazil nuts?" They go, "We just call them nuts here."
Oh yeah,
So there was no such thing as snail mail. It was just mail.
I
Because
know.
that's
Well,
all there was.
because technology has improved a lot, and it's a blessing and a curse. Don't get me started on my
But
disdain for social
we
media.
had a lot of, like, I was there for 10 years. We did Nick Takes Over Your Schools. We did I did some more Big Helps.
I
I
remember the Big
did
Help. We need to bring that back.
It's funny, people kind of remember Slime Time Live with Dave Asia and oh my gosh, what is
Was
her
it
name?
David
My
Sidoni?
gosh. Viviana and Dave Sidoni, yeah. And
I remember Sidoni. I'll
but
tell
it
you a minute.
started with us. It started with like the game. It started out just being called Slime Time, and we would do it live. And so
Yeah.
it was like a little summer thing they did.
Mhm.
Just like they had these little things. Sometimes Stick Stigley would come on in the summer.
I remember him.
They started Snick for a little while. Sometimes we do
Like,
this thing called Slime Time, and I hosted it. Michael Malley hosted it. Mark Summers hosted it. And then
oh yeah,
eventually they said, well, let's just make it its own show. But
oh
before
yeah.
it became its own show, did a little bit of that. On tours, the tours were fantastic.
Hmm.
It was one point where Mark Summers had to go off and do something else. So for a couple of months, I took over, Double Dare live tour. I went on the road with
Yeah.
Robin, and then eventually they put together the Nickelodeon live tour, in
Oh
which
yeah.
they took Guts and Nick Arcade and games from Wild and Crazy Kids, and they put it
Legends.
all in this giant 2-hour live stage show. And Michael Malley and I traveled the country and did that show. And then of course episodes of Figure It Out, which were great. I was on the pilot of all that, which was awesome.
I
And then
know. Kenan Thompson.
and then the
Remember him?
last, yeah, oh, yes, I do.
And now he's on
And then
SNL. He had
and
a show
then
on NBC recently, and they're
yeah,
going to do a Good Burger too.
yep, just announced the other night. Yep.
I know.
And then
I will say this: Dan Schneider won't be there. I'm pretty sure.
let's keep it positive.
Yeah,
Let's
let's.
keep it
Anyway,
positive, Marty.
and don't
So
get me started on that. That's like a stain
once
on Nickelodeon's legacy. No offense, but it
then
can
we
redeem
went
itself.
we
Nickelodeon will redeem
we
itself.
the last thing that I did in the year 1999
You're
was, and people
on.
don't remember this, but it was You're On, right? And it's funny because even though Nick Arcade is the show that like people remember, and I think it's because it was so unique. It was funny because that was the first show I ever hosted on TV, so I really didn't know what I was doing. By the time I got to You're On, if you watch it, I'm like, I'm a lot more seasons, and I know how TV works. It had been 10 years,
Mhm.
but that was when Nickelodeon was starting to phase out, so everything sort of
Oh
got
yeah.
one final season. They did one season of Double Dare 2000.
Oh, that
They
should
did
have
one
lasted longer.
season of You're On, and
That was
then
basically before. Sorry, that was before
everything closed
Nickelodeon
out.
became the 24-hour SpongeBob network.
Yeah, what I was actually during that time, and then shortly thereafter, around 2000 2001,
Oh yeah.
they closed Nick Studios Florida.
I know. It's now well, for one thing, Universal and NBC are part of the same company, and I think Nickelodeon is now partnered with CBS. I don't think they want to work for at a competing studio. I don't know.
Well, again, that's some behind the scenes
Oh
stuff. I
yeah.
know Viacom was the parent company back in our day. It was funny, like Nickelodeon and MTV were owned by the same company. So you had
And then they
this
had
network that was edgy, hitting teens, and then you had this network that was
mhm.
fun and doing like just young kid stuff. But they
Oh
were
yeah.
all owned by the same company back
Oh
in the
yeah.
day.
And then they added like one of the oldest network, the legacy network, CBS. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
company split up, but they were still more or less the same because they were under common ownership. But now they're under, now it's called, they're remerged and it's called Paramount Global, basically. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all
So
consolidated now. Here, I can
yeah.
still see you. I have a list of I have your Wikipedia page here with a lot of the
I
stuff
don't
you
believe
did.
Wikipedia. Don't believe. Listen. Don't. I know. Grown ups say this to kids all the time. I took a look at Wikipedia one time and I went, "Who wrote this? I didn't write this. No one interviewed me. No one asked me anything.
Oh,
No
yeah.
one interviewed me about anything. No one got my permission to put anything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
read like everything was wrong on that thing. But nowadays, people just go online, click and click. They read it and they go, and I stop. And I tried to get some stuff changed. And Wikipedia came to me and go, well, we need verification. And I was like, well, hold on. I'm me, and I need to verify in order to make things right. But did you
Hmm.
ask whoever put the wrong crap on there to verify? Because obviously, if you had asked them to verify, then maybe they wouldn't have put a whole bunch of like incorrect stuff on there. So I'm just telling
Yeah.
you right now, Marty, don't read me the internet because I
Oh,
will
yeah.
spend half the time disputing and refuting everything. You got me here live. So let's
Okay. Yeah.
chat live.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, well, like here's a few shows I know you did, and some of them are on your IMDb page. I don't know if that's accurate or not either.
Well, why don't you ask me what I did?
Okay. It says here, Malcolm and Eddie. You
Yep,
did
I did
one
an episode of
episode.
Malcolm and Eddie. Yep, it was an episode. Man, I can't remember what the name of it was, but I played a guy named Nelson. He was a friend of Malcolm and Eddie, and
Hmm.
that was
Nelson Carter.
Malcolm Jamar Warner and Eddie Griffin. It was a
Hmm.
sitcom that was on UPN, and the whole episode centered around
Oh, yeah.
their buddy was getting married. So they were going through this. Oh my gosh, we're losing one of the boys. We're losing one of the dudes.
Hmm.
It was a fun episode to do.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first time I'd ever done a sitcom acting.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
I never really thought of myself as an actor.
Yeah.
So every time I dipped my toe into that, that was when I actually felt nervous. Going in front of a live audience,
Oh, yeah.
performing in front of kids, doing a game show, loved it, piece of cake.
Hmm.
But you put me in front of like an audience to play not me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's when I was like, ugh.
I could do voice work. I thought about doing voice work, and of course, you did a parody of Nick Arcade on Robot Chicken.
um, yeah, they did. Yeah, they contacted me. That was fun. That was recent.
Yeah, it's
That was real recent.
2016 and
Yeah, that was
2018.
that was really fun.
Yeah.
The place called me. Seth MacFarlane is pop culture guru,
Oh yeah, the guy who
and
created
so
Family Guy. Actually, Seth. I hate to correct you, it's Seth Green, not Seth
oh, I'm sorry.
MacFarlane.
Who did I say? I'm sorry.
MacFarlane, the guy who created
Wrong
Family Guy.
Seth.
They
You're
work
right. You know
together.
what?
They're both on Family Guy actually.
They're the Seth are like the Chris's. You know how there's so many Chris's in Hollywood. You have Seth Rogen, you have Seth MacFarlane, you have Seth Green. You are correct.
Mhm.
I stand corrected. It is Seth Green. Seth Green is a huge. You know what's funny, Seth? Seth MacFarlane is a big retro geek too.
Oh,
But
so
anyway,
am
but
I.
Seth Green and his company contacted me, and they wanted to do an episode, and they were, hoping that I would be available to come in and actually do my own voice. So in the world of
Yeah.
voiceover, it was kind of fun. That was really great to watch. And they showed me the little figurine that we're going to animate and make
Claymation.
me. Yeah, and yeah, they showed that to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just kind of went in the booth, and it was a piece of cake because I mean they were asking me to do a twisted version
Oh,
of the
a
thing I had
darker,
done for.
edgier Nick Arcade.
Yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
if Nickelodeon decided to do aim towards their older audience from when they
If
grew up.
Nickelodeon won Blumhouse Films, that's what it
Blumhouse, I think I know, but yeah.
was.
And he did this one. There's a new show on Nickelodeon, Nick Jr. and Paramount Plus called Ryan's Mystery Playdate. My great nephew Wes, he's 4. He turns 5 in
Mhm,
July, and he's a
mhm.
big fan
Oh
of
my
Ryan's
gosh.
World.
Yeah, that was a fun thing to do. It was great because it was now I was cross pollinating. We were taking the world of TV, but then we were connecting it in with
YouTube,
the streaming world, the YouTube world, right? And
right?
so Ryan, is famous for his Ryan's Toy Review and Ryan's World. So
Mm-hmm.
it was great to meet him and his mom and dad. It's a great family.
Oh yeah,
His twin sisters. And we just had a blast. I did 3 seasons of that thing,
that's still
and
on
uh,
and still
and
in
even
production.
even got nominated for an Emmy. It was really cool,
Now is it
really
still in
cool.
production or is it ended?
It's ended. Yeah, they
No.
ended. Season 4 was I think last year,
Mm-hmm.
and so now they have 4 good seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Season 4 was Level Up.
Yeah.
No, 5. They have 5 seasons.
Oh,
5 seasons. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it was a blast though. It
mm-hmm.
was
I'm
so
sure it
much fun.
was. Yeah, and I kind of wish the most recent Double Dare reboot could have been brought back. I know Mark Summers, apparently I read an article somewhere that he wanted to bring it back not too long ago after it ended, but unfortunately Nickelodeon's not interested, unfortunately.
Which Double Dare? They did bring it back with Liza
With
Koshy.
Liza Koshy, I know that, but it ended like right before COVID broke out, and they probably would have had to stop production anyway because you can't have kids running through slime and stuff when there's a pandemic going on. But it's according to a CBR article, CBR.com, or I have to look it up. But I think he wanted to bring it back not too long ago, after like a year or two ago, now that the pandemic has more or less ended. But apparently, there's Nickelodeon might not want to do it now, and that's unfortunate. I think they should.
I listen. I can't speak to that. Like again, I stay away from
Network
third
politics.
party stuff on the internet, man. If you're reading off the internet,
Mhm.
I
Okay.
kind of close my mind to it. If they don't tell me directly,
Well, ask Mark himself
then
next time you see him.
to me it's I
It's
got to take it with a
gossip.
grain of salt.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
gossip.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I read a rumor that Nintendo wants to do an open world Donkey Kong game. If that's true, that'd be great. But of course, the big game Nintendo releasing this year is going to be The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Do you still play
well, I
games,
just
by the
went
way?
to the opening, the pre-opening of Nintendo World here at Universal Studios
Oh yeah, I want
Hollywood.
to go there so bad. I mean, they have one there. They're going to put one in Orlando. And I think
Mhm.
the first one, of course, is in Osaka, Japan. In case you're
It
wondering,
was, yeah, exactly, yeah.
I am a
But it
huge
was it was a lot of
Japanophile.
fun. It was
I
it was so much fun, and because it's immersive. That's the thing. It's a
mhm.
separate part of Universal altogether.
Oh
And
yeah,
once you go through the tunnel, once you go through the pipe,
into the video zone.
you're there. It's like boom. Yeah, it's like you are there.
That's
And and
fun.
and I had a lot of fun. Went
Oh
with the
yeah.
family, had a blast.
Yeah. I mentioned I'm a big Japanophile. I want to go there someday. I'm like my I think I think when I was 12, the first anime I watched, Sailor Moon.
Mm,
You see, I
okay,
mean, and then
I've heard of it.
of course
My
there's a
son is
lot of
in
games.
anime.
Mhm.
I and the only anime I've watched, like I watched like old school anime when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Like I used to watch G-Force, Battle of the Planets,
I know that one.
um, Astro Boy,
I know that
Speed
one.
Racer.
Oh, Speed Racer.
Um,
Yep.
I used to watch all of that stuff when
Oh
I
yeah.
was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sailor. I mean, they had anime before, but Sailor Moon was the one I watched regularly. It was on
Mhm.
the UPN station in San Francisco, and I had 10 minutes to get home from school to watch it, and I'm glad I did. I mean, and then it got canceled like halfway through season 2, and
Mhm.
we had to wait 3 years before Cartoon Network picked it up.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it was a good show. So I hear. I
oh yeah,
never watched it, but anime. Look, you choose. There's so much to choose from.
oh yeah,
I like the live action reboot, not live action Cowboy Bebop that Netflix did
yeah. It was.
a
I
year or
mean,
so ago.
a lot of fans thought it was not very faithful to the original. But what can you do? It's kind of hard to adapt anime into a live action series.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
mean, sometimes it works. I mean, it can work. I mean, the Wachowskis, remember they did a Speed Racer movie in 2008, and
Right.
it bombed, and now it's been people have been seeing it on video and streaming, and they're like, this is actually really good.
What was the one with Scarlett Johansson that she did?
I think it was Alita Battle Angel.
No, 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 no. Well, it was with Scarlett Johansson. Um,
Oh,
God, why am I
was it Ghost in
drawing a
the
blank?
Shell?
Ghost in the Shell. That's it. That was
Yeah.
another one they did live action.
Oh yeah, and there was some
Yeah.
mixed results about that because a lot of people didn't like the idea that well, Scarlett Johansson is not Asian. I mean, and the main character was Motoko Kusanagi, the major. And she's
Mhm.
obviously supposed to be Asian. Of course, with anime characters, that's the thing I never understood. But this is a whole other can of worms I'm opening. You got why anime characters don't look Asian. I mean, you don't see in real life you wouldn't see a Japanese person with giant big eyes and or blonde hair or pink hair or hair non-natural hair colors.
Everybody's got their own aesthetic, and because it's animation, the beauty about animation is you
Oh
can
yeah,
do whatever you want. You're
yeah,
not
like Pokemon,
confined. You're not confined to the restrictions of the normal human
the
mindset.
real
You can
world, if
let
you
you
will.
can let your imagination go,
Yeah.
and you can do whatever. You can paint with all the colors in the rainbow
There you go.
in animation, which is
Speaking of
which
all the
is
colors of the
awesome.
rainbow, now they had did they only have green slime? Like when you did figure it out, they used to have the secret slime action, and if
Mhm.
somebody did it, they got slime, and someone in the audience won a prize.
Right.
Now, what was in the green slime? I mean, in the day.
Well, okay, so it's funny because as a producer now, I work with a lot of people who are like your age. They grew up on Nickelodeon,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever we use slime nowadays, and I can tell you this for a fact because Mark Summers and I have had this conversation. We always kind of like all of a sudden we're showing our old man side, going, "Well, listen, you kids, when I was your age,
Uh-huh.
back in the day, slime was edible."
Yeah,
Because when you came to the studio, or if slime fell on you, whether you were at Game Lab or you were part of a show where you got slime, if it got into your mouth and your ears and your nose, you had to be able to,
ingest it.
ingest it without it causing you any problems.
Yeah.
Slime back in the day, so when people go, "What is slime made of?" I remember slime was made out of part applesauce,
Mm-hmm.
part vanilla pudding, and
Right.
green food coloring. They
Yeah.
mix it together there in the game lab. Now it's still something that you can ingest and it won't hurt you,
Oh,
but
it
it's
tastes
a
awful.
chemical compound called methacellulose.
Ugh.
And it's what slime is now. That's kind of you can buy, the kind that you can pour
Oh, I've
because
seen those. They had those. They had those on Toys R Us. Oh,
yeah,
yes, that's
and
another thing
because
that needs to come back. Toys R Us.
because yeah, because recently there's the another game show that I produced right at the edge of pandemic ending
I think
was a
it's
show
called
called Tuned In
Tuned In.
on
Yes, I see it
Nickelodeon.
on here.
And Tuned In, we slimed the kids all the time. It was just so funny because we were, buying all of this slime, but it was this new sort of methacellulose stuff
Yeah,
that
the
would come
stretchy
in big
stuff.
fats. Yeah.
That's
So
Cino or slime in name only.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The artist formerly known as Slime.
There you go. I wish. And now they have the Kids Choice Awards. They had them recently, and I think they still use the old formula because they spray it out of cannons and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know what they use there.
Hmm.
I've never been up on stage. I know at one point it was still the old school. I don't know if they
Hmm.
changed over or
Oh
not.
yeah.
You know, but it's funny because I produced another show in which they wanted a slime type substance.
Uh huh.
So I colored it blue, but when I made it, I went and made it from the original slime formula. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
just, I got the food coloring, I got
Jello,
the
gelatin.
pudding, I got the applesauce, mixed it all together, except I made it blue. And that way
Right.
it didn't look like Nickelodeon green slime, but it was made out of the same consistency. I remember the people saying, "Oh my gosh, this is blue goo, but why is it all thick and clumpy?" I'm like, "Because that's original slime
There you
recipe,
go.
baby."
And then I remember, anyway, I know Mark Summers, when he did Double Dare, he was starting to realize he had OCD and he had trouble, and he didn't like it getting the slime on him. I can understand that.
Well, slime. And look, if you roll around in mud, if you roll around in sand, you
Hmm.
get up and it's still stuck all over you.
Yeah. Well, they have
You
showers.
know, yeah, you have to change clothes and
Hmm.
shower, and
Or throw clothes
sometimes you just,
away.
and when you had like a busy shooting schedule,
Oh, yeah.
we would shoot 3 or 4 episodes a day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Most game
you
shows are like
actually
that.
look forward to your downtime in between episodes. But when you have to take time to change your wardrobe and shower and scrub from head to toe and
Right.
get everything all together again, that also was kind of a not a hassle, but it was like an intrusion of the limited amount of time that you had.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you want to get back in your dressing room, rest for a minute, drink some juice, eat some food, put your feet up, look over the content for the next show you have to tape. You want to milk all of those precious minutes
Oh, yeah.
for as long as you can. But when you have to take like 10 of those minutes and regulate them to showering and changing and drying and all that again,
Right.
it just takes away from the time that your body had time to
Oh,
recover
sure.
and get
Well,
ready for the next thing.
and the mine.
You
And
know,
I hate to interrupt, but I got a little thing here on my screen that says we got about less than 10 minutes to go.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I have less than 10 minutes to go too because I have to
No.
get back to work. I'm actually working,
Yep.
producing a new game show for Fox, and we're going to get back on our Zoom in about
15 minutes.
7 minutes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll hurry up. Anyway, I remember, and you did a new show on NBC called The Wheel.
Oh my gosh, yes, it just aired this
Yeah.
past December. That
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
It was
Whole lot of fun.
interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember NBC had game shows in the mornings. I wish they'd bring some of them back. We really don't need, I'm not going to get into this. We don't need 4 hours of the Today Show. I'm just going to say that right there.
Well, television is now trying to bring back game shows in a bigger way, and when you bring them back bigger, they all go to prime time.
There you go. You got
So
Password,
that's
Jimmy
why you have a
Fallon.
lot of shows, yeah, coming back. $100,000 Pyramid and
That's fun.
To
Card
tell
Shark,
the
they showed
truth,
that.
and yeah, there's a lot. The Wall. There's a lot of
Hmm.
shows. Beat Shazam.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Double Dare could come back on CBS, and it'd be family Double Dare. You'd have like two kids and two adults, their parents, their grandparents. And like I said, they could give away like $25,000 if you can clear the obstacle course in 60 seconds. So if
yeah.
the Nick
Well,
execs are watching,
it comes down to what the company wants to do. It's funny because people all the time saying to me, "Why don't you bring back Nick Arcade?" And my response is, "I don't own it.
yeah, it's CBS, Paramount.
I can't just decide to go around and just make a show. If
I have some ways
Paramount
to improve
owns it,
that.
yeah, if Paramount owns it, I may like your car, but just because I like your car, I can't just drive it.
Yeah,
It's
this is
yours,
not Grand Theft Auto.
You're right, exactly. So, it just depends on the interest that the 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 company that owns these intellectual properties,
Oh, yeah.
what they want to do with them. If they feel
Oh,
that
yeah.
they want to give it a shot, they give it a shot. Trust me, they've been asked. It's been thrown out to them. I feel I'm a big proponent of with technology being what it is now.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon was state of the art, and
91.
that's what
Yeah.
made it unique. And now the state of the art has improved exponentially.
Yeah.
So doing a show like that now would be just be visually, I think, amazing. But
Yeah.
again, it's like me going to somebody, it's like me going to the network studio
Oh,
going,
yeah.
"Hey, I like your car. Can I take it out for a drive?" If they
Yeah.
go,
That's not up to,
"No, we like it here in the garage. It's
yeah.
vintage."
You never
it's
know. It could change someday. I mean, and now you got streaming services. So ratings are becoming more and more obsolete, if you will, because I mean, they still have to appeal to the actual buyers of the shows, and that's advertisers. It's always been that way. But it's changing anyway. Oh, here I forgot to show you my Nickelodeon shirt. As you can see here, I got
there
Reptar,
we go.
I got
The whole
Reptar, I got
gang.
Arnold, Ren and Stimpy, Rocco. I mean, this was my jam.
Nicktoon players.
Yeah. I wish
Very
I could get a
cool.
shirt with Mikey on it. I mean, now would they have to redraw if the show is brought back? I have to wonder how they do that. Would they make him look like an anime character now?
If the show is brought back and they're trying to appeal to an older audience, they might not go with Mikey at all.
Well, I think what they might do is they could have like a maybe. Well, there's two ways to do. How do you? I don't know. They could either appeal to a older audience like those who grew up with Nickelodeon, or they could appeal to like kids and their parents because a lot of people who grew up watching Nickelodeon in the '90s, they have kids now themselves. So there's a way to do that. I mean, it's not like you're
I
gonna
think
see. Sorry, it's not like
I
you're gonna
think
see games like Grand Theft Auto in the video challenge zone. I hope not, anyway.
I think it's I think it's a fine line to walk. I mean, because remember they tried it with
Double
they
Dare.
tried it with Legends of the Hidden Temple. They
Yeah.
made Legends of the Hidden Temple. They did a movie about it, so it appealed to kids, but
Uh-huh.
then and families, not just kids, but families,
Yeah.
because they made it sort
And
of
then the
Indiana
CW
Jones
had it.
style. And then they did it as a game show
Mm-hmm.
with grown-ups.
Oh yeah.
So if you were a fan of it, growing up with it, now people your age are playing it. It appealed to a mass audience, and it was on
CW.
Fox, was CW. It was on the CW.
And CW is being
Um,
sold, actually. CBS and Warner Brothers are giving up on that now. We've got less than 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to hurry.
okay, so they've tried a few things. I think it's about, and I think this is why sometimes the studios walk cautiously
Oh
because
yeah.
it's not like they haven't done it. It's not like they've closed their ears to the audience.
Okay.
They've tried it in other areas, and if they want to try it again, it's about figuring out how to crack that nut. Because if they
Mm-hmm.
in their mind, if they tried it before and it didn't work, it was like, what was the missing element?
Oh
And
yeah. Well, strike gold twice. Like when it worked the first time. I mean, maybe the reboot of Legends of the Hidden Temple was fun. I mean, it was, but I mean, you had I mean, it was a little more PG 13. I mean, Kirk Fogg was in there now and then. I think what they could have done is he could have been a co-host alongside Cristela Alonso. I mean, they worked together.
maybe,
That's why
maybe.
the
I mean,
Double Dare
but
reboot
again,
was
they tried
fun.
it with double. They did that with the new reboot of Double Dare. They had Mark there side by side,
With Liza.
and
It was
the
great.
show got two seasons out of it. Yeah,
Well,
but it's
someday.
weird. It's kind of like to coin a phrase. It's a crapshoot,
There you go.
and it's interesting what works and what doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
And it shows that you think, wow, I love this show, and it shouldn't work, but it does. And there are shows where you think this is fantastic, and yet for some reason it doesn't catch on.
Oh yeah. Well, network politics is
My
weird.
big caveat it as the show Firefly. I don't know why we're not in season 10 of Firefly.
Well, yeah, Firefly. Well, TV tropes has a thing called screwed by the network, and in some cases these shows are. I mean, I heard NBC's actually thinking about giving up the 10 o'clock hour after all these years. I mean, they tried that with remember the Jay Leno show, and then they ended up putting him back on the Tonight Show and screwing over Conan O'Brien.
Remember? No.
It was a long time ago, but of course that's because the things are changing. You know, I will
Right.
say this: I would like to see Nick Arcade brought back with some changes, but not. I mean, it stays true to the original.
So would I.
Well, let's not give up hope, man.
And you know, so would I. Conversations have doors have been opened. Conversations have happened.
Mhm.
More conversations will happen.
Well, we
but
got
you know,
Kickstarter.
and the big thing I tell the people is,
Not up to you.
Kickstarter. It's not up to me, right? So everybody go start a Kickstarter. Great, I start a Kickstarter and then get sued for doing
By
the show.
Paramount,
It's like
yeah.
it's not.
No, it's not,
Mine.
unfortunately. But maybe if we could find a way for fans to let them know that the show, if we can get enough fans,
That would be great. Now, if the fans could let Paramount and
CBS.
you know, Nickelodeon, if they could somehow express to them their desire to
minute
see
warning.
that again, while we're having these conversations. I mean, when I say we, I mean the creators of the show and I. We've had conversations with the parent company
Oh yeah. Well,
about
let's not give up hope.
doing stuff again. Never giving up hope. Still
No.
pursuing it until that day comes. We'll
yeah.
keep pounding the
Keep
payment,
trying.
knocking on the door.
All right. Well, I'm afraid I'm running out of time here. I'm gonna have to go, Phil. It was great to meet you. You are a
Nice to
Nickelodeon,
meet you too.
a green slime legend. In fact, I hope I
Oh
get
my
to
God,
interview some more of you guys.
I still have it in my ear.
I hope
Good
I get
meeting
to
you
see
too,
more of you guys.
Marty.
We'll see you again soon. All right. Ciao.
All right.
All right, and that's the end of my interview with Phil Moore. Anyway, I'm going to be trying to do some more interviews with some of my famous friends on Facebook, and hopefully this will help me get more viewers and more subscribers. And yes, I will be putting up another top 10 list and a game show review as well, and maybe start another anime game show video hybrid. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Space Hey, and be sure to follow my YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. Until then, I am MartYtraM, the geeky American otaku. Have a happy and sweet Easter.